Hi, folks. I'm Jamie Hiles.
I'm Lydia Judy.
And I'm the dried raisin, Derek Lemaster.
This is Scream Bloody Movies, the podcast where we review a horror movie each week, go over the horror news, and Derek calls himself dried raisins for some. What the hell are you talking about?
I'm getting old, man. I'm starting to get old.
So you called yourself a dry... That's excellent. That's excellent.
Or, someone who lays out on the beaches of Florida.
Yeah. Like that old lady from Something About Mary.
Yep. There you go.
She's all like... There's that woman that was like Leather Mom. That was a real person. You guys remember that person? Leather Mom. Also, our favorite is Leatherface, but his isn't from being out in the sun too long. It's from stealing faces. How are you guys doing this weekend and tonight, specifically?
Doing good.
My son just started kindergarten, so I'm going to give myself a grade. I'm a C+.
C+.
Yep.
I'm gonna say I'm probably a B+.
B+.
I'm in the I'm in the B range probably. Say I'm in the B range. Today I kind of just laid around and slept and watched horror movies, so it was a pretty good day.
Nice.
No more tea.
Not too bad. So, guys, tonight we're going to talk about 1980s slasher film, like literally the 1980 slasher film, Prom Night. But before we do, we're going to take a little trip down into the horror news. All right. I got a good amount here, guys, actually. So bear with me. This first piece of horror news, we got a little bit of a tease regarding the new Final Destination movie. So, I would say the creator of the franchise, Jeffrey Riddick, has said that the new film dives into the film in such a unique way that it attacks it from a different angle, so you don't feel like, oh, that's an amazing setup, then there's going to be one wrinkle that can potentially save you all, that you have to kind of make a moral choice about or solve it. There's an expansion to the universe, and then he says he's being careful. So pretty much he says it kind of unearths a whole deep layer to the story that kind of makes it really interesting. So it looks like we're going to get kind of like a new wrinkle into this thing. What are you guys' thoughts?
What are your thoughts, Derek?
So, we only got part of that. Here's the thing. Yeah, but here's the thing with this. I'm pretty sure one of the titles to the many movies that they've created is The Final Destination.
Correct. So,
I don't know, man. I don't know what to think about this. Like, I kind of stopped watching these a while ago. The first one was so good. And the second one was pretty good. And it was just like, oh, I've seen this before. So, anyway.
Yeah, they do have some...
I
will say some of the sequels have some great kill scenes. Some great deaths.
For sure.
Creative deaths. But no, the first two are actually really good, I think. First one especially. But basically what this whole thing that he talks about comes down to is he says that they found a way to attack the story from a different angle and kind of give the characters an out, but they have to make a moral choice.
That's interesting, for sure.
You got to put... I'm going to make a prediction. The moral choice is you have to put somebody in your place.
Mm-hmm.
That would make the most sense, yep.
Yeah.
Kind of like It Follows, except with death.
Right.
Yeah.
Literally.
They probably
death.
watched It Follows and are like, we got a new wrinkle!
And then,
kidding.
so did
But that's
the
probably how it happened.
makers of Smile. They're like, yes, I've got an idea!
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right.
Do you guys remember, a while back, I talked about a movie, an R.L. Stine adaptation called Zombie Town. with Dan Aykroyd, R.L. Stine. It's now rated PG-13. What do you guys feel about this thing?
What was it rated? Did it tell what it was rated before? Maybe it was not rated yet?
No, it never had a rating. They finally rated it.
Okay.
I'm okay with that. That sounds like it could be really cool.
Yeah,
well,
why not?
The one that came out a couple of years ago that had Jack Black in it was
the Goosebumps movies?
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the first Goosebumps I did like a lot. That Jack Black one.
Yeah.
Thought it was a lot of fun.
So
I mean, hey,
we'll
whatever.
See. I mean, it can definitely be done. Yeah.
Why not? Let's give it a shot.
Yeah,
we also
I think there's always room for some PG-13 horror out there for the youngsters.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to be like, yes, Dan Aykroyd and Chevy Chase, because they're probably like, who the fuck is that?
I think that's more for the parents that have to take the kids. They're going to be like, oh, back in my day.
More likely, the grandparents at this point.
Yeah, there's I don't want to go on a tangent, but there are people in my graduating class that are grandparents, and I'm just like, what the F?
Whoa.
Because Ellie is 21 months old. Like, I can't imagine.
Well, they were just getting, popping out those babes when they were in their teens.
I guess.
They're starring on MTV shows and shit. Okay. Next piece of horror news. We have a sequel in development for Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Nice.
Don't have any news on it yet, but it's just that it is in development. What do you guys think about that?
Love it. I loved the first one.
Yeah, we'll have to do it.
Yeah, I don't remember anything about the first one.
I would love to. I actually find myself rewatching that one around Halloween time or anytime really I need some spooky vibes. I think it's like really well done movie. So I hope the second one's as good or better.
Yeah, it's a cool movie. They ended on a cliffhanger, so they set up for another one. So that's cool. So we'll have to do that one and talk about it because Derek, I don't know. Did you even see it?
No, I've never seen it.
Okay.
It's pretty creepy.
So, it's pretty fun. It's based off of the children's book that I used to read all the time. Me and Jacob and the boys, my other brothers, Zachary and Jordan, we used to read that book.
Oh my gosh. I got to tell you guys this because it's relevant. I'm pretty sure Clark is going to grow up to be a supervillain. I was reading him the Lion King book, and he goes, because he wants to be Mario for Halloween, and he goes, can we be Lion King for next Halloween? Can I be Scar? I'm like, why would you want to be Scar? It's like forever he wanted to be Rhino anyway.
Yeah, I don't know why Rhino is literally the worst Spider-Man villain.
He saw the cartoon that had Rhino in it, and
thought he was
cool. Mean.
Tricked him into thinking he was cool.
Yep, that's me.
Tricked him into thinking he was cool, and then when he gets older, he's gonna be like, Rhino was terrible.
Yeah, what was I thinking, Dad? I was like, you were 3.5. You're fine.
So this is interesting.
Cool, though. That reminds me of me. It reminds me of me when I was a kid. Like, I always wanted to side with the villains and stuff.
I always, as a kid, wanted to be the hero, except for in horror movies. Then I was like, yeah, Freddy's the best. Freddy all the way. But besides Freddy, I was like, I wanted to be Batman or Superman or the Ninja Turtles, of course.
Charlie Sheen, was he ever?
I never wanted to be Charlie Sheen. Never.
You missed out.
I didn't. That wasn't one of my childhood dreams. Can't wait to be Charlie Sheen. I was a big fan of Men at Work, though, when I was a kid.
There you go.
Remember that one? It's a classic.
Yep, with Emilio Estevez.
Yeah.
They found a dead body in the trash.
Yep. It's a good one.
Yeah.
Lydia's like, what the hell?
I have not seen that movie. I swear
Since
to
the
you,
90s.
probably at least 25 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to watch it all the time. It used to be on HBO all the time. So I used to watch it because I loved Emilio Estevez. He was Billy the Kid. So, you know.
Yep.
This next bit of horror news is Maggie Gyllenhaal is apparently remaking The Bride of Frankenstein for Netflix.
Okay.
She's like directing it? Or she's in it?
So it will be her sophomore directorial effort. And I'm assuming she'll probably play the bride as well. So far it says, oh no, I'm sorry. The World of Real is reporting that Penelope Cruz is cast as the bride, with Christian Bale as Frankenstein, and Peter Skarsgård is in it.
Sign me up.
Yeah, Christian Bale, come on.
I don't even care if that was about people picking up trash.
Finding dead bodies.
I would, finding dead bodies randomly. I would watch it.
I'd watch Christian Bale in a remake of Men at Work.
Yeah.
What are you guys' thoughts on this?
It sounds great. I mean, story aside, a lot of promise.
Yeah, those are some big names.
Yeah, they know what they're doing. So
yeah, definitely got some capital A actors in that one. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I'm excited for that.
Mm-hmm.
This is interesting. They are finally making George Romero's last zombie movie that he had planned before his death, called Twilight of the Dead. He was developing this as his final zombie movie before he passed away in 2017, and now his estate is teaming up with the producer Roundtable to bring a final installment to this. The original treatment is penned by Romero, and then rewrites done by Joe Netter, Robert Lucas, and Paolo Zaletti. What do you guys think about a new Dead movie in Romero's universe without George Romero?
Ooh.
Yeah, you said he was the original writer of the script, right? And it's been
he wrote the original screenplay and developed it, and then the screenplay itself is being written by a couple other horror writers, but it's based off of his treatment and his story.
Yeah, so essence of George Romero, and as iconic as he is and what he meant to, like that complete portion of horror, I think they'll do a good job. I think they'll do everything they can to do a good job.
Yeah, I mean, with his estate involved.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think,
Get
Lydia?
them some money.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to have to wait and see, but, when you hear that, you're like, well, I'm definitely going to be there,
Yeah.
Like, it's exciting, but hopefully they won't mess it up. That's what we always say, isn't it? But, I mean, yeah, it's exciting.
Well, that's all we can say. I mean, that's all we can kind of hope for is don't mess it up, If you're given the keys you're given the keys to something huge, please don't screw it up. Whatever you do.
Yeah.
So this next bit of horror news is the Friday the 13th fan film, Never Hike Alone, has wrapped filming. It will be released in October of 2023. Straight to YouTube, I do believe. Did you guys see Never Hike Alone or Never Hike in the Snow?
I still haven't seen it.
I think
you gotta watch it.
Never Hike Alone. I haven't seen the snow one.
It's good. They're both fun. Same filmmakers doing it. They have Thom Matthews returning as Tommy Jarvis, who plays Tommy Jarvis in Part 6. So he's back again. And it's this is the final one in this little, continuity that they made. And it's the only Friday the 13th we're getting until the TV series comes out. So I'm excited to see it. How about you guys?
100%, yeah.
Yeah.
Gives us a little bit of our Jason fix, right?
Yeah, for sure.
We need the new TV show to come out already so we can see Jason. We need Jason in our lives. I watched Friday the 13th Part 3 last night. I was like, this one sounds good. And then today, I watched Halloween 2, because why not? It kind of felt like a fallish day. I was like, Halloween 2 seems like it's going to hit the spot. And it did. It was excellent.
Man, do you guys think that if you would have brought Jason Taco Bell, he would spare you? Is that a thought that anybody else has?
No. I mean, if they would have brought us Taco Bell when we were drunk back in the day, we would have befriended them for life, I can tell you that.
I mean, I got invited to a guy who worked at Taco Bell. I got invited to his wedding.
That is true. That is a true story.
When I was in college, I would go in there like a lot, and I befriended him, right? And every time I'd chat him up, he'd give me free food, and then one day he's like, "Hey man, I'm getting married. You want to come to my wedding?" I'm like, "Yeah." No, if he watches this, I do miss those days. I wish I would have went to his wedding. His name was Jesse, so I at least remembered his name.
Well, that's because you wanted his girl.
I mean, that could be true as well. You don't know. I just wanted his Taco Bell. That's all I wanted.
No, but we do
Taco Bell.
I just wanted to get Taco Bell.
That's not an innuendo for anything, guys.
And then I just end up getting invited to weddings. That's all I want. No nuptials, just yum-yums.
Maybe it was catered by Taco Bell. You don't know.
That would be crazy.
Know. I don't know about if Jason ever attacks you. You do know to throw corn at him. I mean, that's the given.
do know to throw corn at him. I would get the pico de gallo and hope that was enough.
Yeah, I mean, keep a can just spare, just in case they can attack Jason with it.
I do every time I go camping.
I bring a can of corn just in case. You never know. You never know. And then finally, the last bit of horror news, guys. This is a big one. Radio Silence is not directing the new Scream movie. They are not directing Scream 7. Christopher Landon, who did the Happy Death Day to Me movies, is directing. What are you guys' thoughts on this? So Radio Silence isn't directing because they are in the middle of their mysterious monster movie that we still don't know anything about. So I'm a little nervous because the Scream movies have only been directed by two sets of directors, Wes Craven and Radio Silence. And both Radio Silence movies are pretty good. All of Wes Craven's are great. So I'm nervous about this becoming a franchise that they just hand off to other, That's what made Scream special, I think, is because it was Wes the whole time.
Right.
What are you guys' thoughts?
Yeah, it could be one of those.
I feel your concern. I do. And it's hard to... It depends on if they appreciate the property or they just want to make a buck.
I'm sure they do. I'm sure he does. I like the Happy Death Day movies. I think they're really funny and a lot of fun.
There's more than one?
There's two, yeah.
I did not know that. Okay.
Have you seen the second one, Lydia?
No, I haven't. I haven't seen either of them.
Oh, really?
Either, but I only thought.
But I did know there. I did know there were two.
Yeah. They're fun. The first one's really fun. The second one leans more into the comedy, and it becomes like outlandishly crazy by the end of it. But that first one is a lot of fun. I had a good time with it. But we'll see. And that wraps up this week's horror news. Now, guys, let's talk about Prom Night. So this episode has been in the making for like 3 weeks.
Right? It feels that way, doesn't it?
It's been in the... I mean, we had last week's episode, and we had it planned in case something bad happened there. And it did, but we just went forward anyway because some people didn't watch the movie. So... Here we are, Prom Night. Is this your guys' first time watching this movie?
Well, technically, I watched most of it last week, and then I finished it today. So, yes.
Was this your first time watching it?
First time. Yep.
How about you, Derek?
It might as well been. I'm pretty. So I remembered the title of the second one.
Oh,
Hello,
Mary Lou,
Prom Night 2.
Yeah. Completely different movie. Wild shit.
Yeah, and I know that I've seen these back in the day. This came out in 1980. I was born in 83, so I probably watched this in like the super late 80s or like early 90s. So nothing about this was fresh. It kind of went into it open-minded.
Yeah, I've seen this multiple times. I don't remember the first time I watched it. I wanting to say in the mid 90s. And then I definitely rewatched it when I was going through my horror history in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. I think the last time I watched this was several years ago. I was going through the Jamie Lee Curtis Scream Queen movies, and I rented it from the video store. This is how long ago it was. Rented it from the video store and watched it. So this is the first time I think I watched it since then. Maybe I watched it one other time on Shudder since then, but yeah, I've seen this one several times. So I kind of knew everything going into it, but there's certain things you forget while you're watching or before you watch it, and then you watch it and you're like, oh yeah, I forgot about the structure of this movie, because I've got a lot to say about the structure of this movie.
I've got a lot to say about this movie.
In general, where do you guys want to start with this one?
Oh, we got to start where we start every week.
I knew it.
Dude, you got to, because let me tell you what, those little bastards.
Little kids, yeah. We have to start there, because we wouldn't have a story if it wasn't for the kids.
Let me tell you, if I knew kids back in the day who were like, let's play killer, I think is what it was, I'd be like, fuck no, I'm not playing killer with you. What kind of game is this?
I don't know. I've never heard of this game, though. I did used to pretend to be Freddy back in the day.
Yeah, but that's lighthearted and fun, not like these little kids that literally kill somebody.
Yeah. They kind of take it a little too far, if you know what I mean.
They do. So this game, Killers, is like kind of like hide and seek.
It's kind of like hide and seek. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like what is that, like prison tag?
yeah, jailbreak.
Jailbreak, yeah. Prison tag.
Prison tag's probably something different, Lydia.
You could tell I never played Jailbreak as a kid, huh?
You guys want to play some prison tag? Meet me in the shower. So basically they start ganging up on this girl and saying, Killer, which I guess is a thing. I've never fucking played Killer. I guess that's how you play it.
It's not a thing. It's
Definitely not.
And they scare her essentially out of a window. She falls out of a window to her death. And then, which it was an accident. They didn't like murder her. It was an accident. But instead of doing the responsible thing and going and getting help or telling, they just decide to run away and pretend like they have no idea what happened. So then some poor fucking bastard gets arrested for it after he crashes his car and gets put in a coma. What do you guys think of this opening?
Yeah. It's pretty intense. I did not expect this opening from this movie at all.
No, you're right, because it really starts out like at an abandoned school, and you're just like, oh, where are they going with this? Then you get these kids, and you're like, oh, the game is a weird name, but it's harmless. And then by the way, I 100% knew as soon as like the first part of this happened, like
you knew the killer is
like it was so telegraphed, 100%. Because it wasn't going to be the person that they
you did not know
was going to be the killer.
Oh,
I did not know. I just did not pick up on it I did not pick up on it. Like, I was like, it could be this person. It could be. I was just along for it, I guess. I didn't think too hard about it, I guess. But
That's
I did
one of the things...
suspect him. I suspected the killer as we went along. But I was like, no, it can't be him. He's so sweet. Yeah. He's so nice. Like,
so here's what's interesting about this. Basically, you can call Prom Night. Like, the beginning is pretty cool. It's interesting, at least. I mean, it's nonsensical to a degree, but it's fine. It sets it up, gives us a backstory. But that, what you just talked about, Lydia, how you were like, oh, I suspected this guy, and that's because they could have named this movie Red Herring the Movie.
Yeah.
Because there were actually two. There were two red herrings.
Oh, there's more than that. There's more than that, I think. There's the guy that's actually in a coma that escaped. There is the janitor.
The groundskeeper, janitor guy.
Yep, there is the principal. Leslie Nielsen's
I didn't suspect him.
Oh, yeah, I kind of did suspect him, too.
They set him up to be a suspect. Purposely.
Yeah.
You know, he's gone in certain scenes, and he's talking about his family and all that stuff. So here's the thing about when we're talking about Prom Night is about 2/3 of this movie, nothing happens.
This movie could be 35 minutes long.
Yeah.
And make more sense than it did at an hour and a half.
But I still enjoyed all of that nothing. Like, I have to say, I
Lydia,
just liked this movie. Like, I liked watching it.
Yeah,
I did. I was
rate
like
it
I
when
said.
We get to it, but.
Well, like I said, I was just in it. Like, I did not question the movie. I was just watching it to enjoy it. I guess it's just how it happened. You know, sometimes you watch a movie and you're just like, I'm just watching this movie and having a great day.
Yeah,
that's how I was during this.
So this movie structure is really weird because we have a slasher movie here where nobody really gets slashed until the third act. Like, they don't even throw us a couple bones of some nonsense, just some nonsense of some guy walking down the alley and running into the killer and getting killed. So then we're like, ooh,
right.
We get nothing.
Yeah.
We get phone calls. There's one dead body. Yeah, there's one dead body between the intro and the actual killer killing somebody. And that's that nurse that's on the ground and it's happened. And other than that, it's just nothing.
You're right,
it's
Lydia.
Really kind of a slow movie. So
slow, yeah. Lydia, you are right. We do get phone calls, which are scary, I guess. He's like, meh, I know what you did.
A creepy voice on the phone.
The best part is none of them are scared.
It's not even yeah, because he doesn't say that. He's never like, I know what you did. It's like, do you want to go to the prom with me? You're like,
Mom, Mario's calling me to go to the prom again. It's me.
Yeah.
It's just, it's very strange.
It was a weird voice.
Yeah. And so they get a call from each of the, we're set up for it because we get the phone calls happen to each of the people as they're adults. And we get flashbacks to show which kid they were, which is hilarious.
Mm-hmm. I actually enjoyed that because I feel like, unless you're really paying attention, it's super easy to forget who was who.
Right. No, but it's just...
I still forget who was who. Even with the flashback. I had such a hard time paying attention to who was who.
So Jamie Lee Curtis is essentially our lead in this movie. But she really doesn't do a lot. But she is the sister.
Was she?
Go ahead.
Was she one of the kids?
No,
she was
the girl at the beginning who forgot her book and left.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And left.
Because she's their older sister. Because those, the two younger kids.
Right.
I did not know
she
until
left.
now.
Yes. So she's not there when the killer stuff happens. So she doesn't remember any of it.
That's what I would assume.
Yes, she doesn't remember any of it. And so her and her brother are, they're like best friends, they're buddies, they're growing up through high school and they're getting ready for prom. And she's dating the boy who wanted to,
one of them,
go get the police. And they're like, no, they'll arrest us. And she's like, yeah, good call. We probably should, for the remainder of our lives, even when we're old enough to realize that that's not the case, we probably should never tell anybody about it. Let's just keep quiet about it, about this accident. So he's dating her. And basically this movie is them walking through high school and getting ready, like setting up the prom itself. Because there's a couple of really weird characters. There's like the gross fucking guy that's like all about Jamie Lee Curtis's character.
The unibrow guy?
Unibrow guy, yeah. Yeah.
You mean the 35-year-old man playing a high school kid?
Yeah.
That's the one. That's the one.
Hey, we all know that guy.
Yeah.
Man, I gotta say this. And I know that we've said it before, but man, Jamie Lee Curtis is just so gorgeous in this movie.
Oh, she's amazing.
Yeah, and she's great in this movie.
Yeah.
She really is good in the movie. The movie just doesn't give her a lot to do. I mean, what she gets to do is a fucking random-ass disco dance scene.
Which is magical. I'm obsessed. I'm so mad that we did not have a disco prom.
No, I'm telling you. If you look back at the archive footage, I guarantee that they spent 90% of this movie filming the dance sequence. And the rest of it, they're just like, well, we got a movie we got to finish. Let's go around high school for a little bit, guys.
Dude.
No, let's film them wandering around the high school.
Jamie Lee Curtis straight up stole every scene that she was in. She did so good.
She's Jamie Lee Curtis. Come on, guys.
She took full advantage of this movie.
She did.
Yeah. So, all of the it's really weird to talk about this movie because again, just nothing happens through most of it. It's just their social issues, and the one girl's trying to get a date, and then the other girl is teaming with Unibrow to try to bring down Jamie Lee Curtis and the boy, because the boy used to date her, but now she's dating Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yes.
That's like our story. That's like the big story for this movie.
It's weird.
Very weird.
There was one point where I expected them to try to drop a pail of blood on.
It's basically
that's
Carrie.
what I was thinking
It is
too.
Carrie. It's Carrie. Yeah. Just way less well done because Carrie's a masterpiece of a film, and this is Prom Night, and it's fun.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah,
I think that girl did a good job too, though.
Yeah, I think all the actors are fine. I don't think there's any really bad acting in this movie. Shout out to Leslie Nielsen as the principal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cracks me up when I see him. I like how...
I know, I did not expect him either.
Surely, you can't be serious. That's what he should have said when he came on screen.
Yeah. Right.
What really cracks me up is when Ogre and the boyfriend character... What the hell's that guy's name? Nick? When Nick and the Ogre guy get into a fight in the lunchroom, and then they bring him to the principal's office, and he's like, is this true? He's like, you think that just because he's my son, I'm going to go easy on him? Well, you're right. You're suspended.
Yes.
Like, what the fuck?
Which, by the way...
That's a great point, though. He's like, you've been nothing but trouble.
No, that's true.
Well,
he's been there, obviously, since the early 60s.
And he assaulted his daughter, which doesn't come up when they're in the office, but, that's what he did. I would have punched that guy, too.
Yep.
So, he deserved it.
Split his eyebrow.
Yeah, that guy's a straight-up criminal.
Yeah, he is.
Like,
he's definitely a criminal. There's this really funny
your daughter
scene.
in the school with a ski mask on.
Yeah.
As one does. But that's to paint him as the villain, you see. It's another red herring. That's why it's there.
Yeah.
There's a scene that I really think is hilarious when they pull up to the burger, like the burger / hot dog joint.
Oh my God! Yeah.
In the car.
Yeah.
And old boy's like, "Yeah, I'll take all this stuff." Like he just orders all this food.
I'll take 3 cheeseburgers, some fries, and a beer.
What kind of beer you got? She's like,
you want anything?
Fast food place.
It's so dumb. And then when he picks her up for the prom, and he's in that like beater ass car with his fucking friends,
with his friends in the back.
Yeah.
And she waits for him to open the door.
Man, yes. I'm telling you.
So we're just going to skip to the third act because that's kind of when stuff happens. Like I said, the rest of this is just her getting ready for the prom, talking about the prom, talking about the big prom king, prom queen ceremony, talking about how disco rules. I mean, they don't quite say that, but they know that disco rules. I mean, if you watch the rest of the movie, you'll see. And so we get these two characters. It's one of the women, the girl, and she has this new boyfriend that she met and hooked up with at the prom, and they go into a van and do it. What do you guys think of this scene?
That's I love a pimp van, man.
The van is cool. This is actually the best scene in the movie, in my opinion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's the most exciting. There's shit happening.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? So we get this like cool chase scene, basically. Like, I mean, he kills the one dude. We get like some good suspense because they're like walking out, you know, and then they like go to have sex out on the stars, and then they're like, you know what, let's go back into the van. You're like, what the fuck was the purpose of that? But okay.
Yeah.
So they go back, and then he gets killed. The boyfriend does.
She gets killed first.
Oh, right.
Because she has that amazing line. She's like, I'm going to remember this for the rest of my life.
Rest of my life. That's it, yeah.
And then she dies.
The van doors open. I'm like, why weren't those locked?
Probably didn't have locks on that.
Solved you.
On that beater. Probably didn't have locks.
Yeah, maybe.
So we get like an action beat. We get an action beat. After he kills her, he's chasing the dude. He's hanging on the van and shit. And then old boy wrecks the van off of a cliff. And it explodes.
Yes.
No. That van explodes like before it hits anything. It goes off the cliff, it flies for a second, then explodes, and then it hits the ground.
Dude,
that always used to happen in movies. Because what they would do is they'd have like the charger, you know, they would have it charged so that way they'd hit the explosive, but they didn't time it right, but they could only do it once. So it just blows up in midair.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Don't you know when vans leave the road, they explode?
Yeah. Pretty sure I saw that warning one time on my grandpa's van.
Do not ramp. Dude,
Danger.
My
highly
jaw
explosive.
Dropped after watching this movie this far and like nothing is happening, and then all of a sudden there's like an explosion. I was like, like my jaw was like completely dropped. I was like, holy shit, that was insane.
Their budget just got shot.
And I was like so happy for that couple that they found each other. I was like, this is the best.
I know.
Ugh. Loved it. I loved them. They were both so cute.
Yeah, because they were both a couple of weirdos.
They just met that day.
Like, you're the love of my life.
I loved it.
I love you so much. Your van is legit.
It was so cute.
I'm going to remember this for the rest of my life. Yeah, you are, because it's over.
Yeah. And he had that history book that was like cut out pages full of joints.
Yeah, dude, that is too much. That is a movie thing for sure.
Yeah,
no, it should have been a Bible.
Yeah.
You want to hand me my?
Made it better.
Want to hand me my history book? Got some noobs.
That guy was just such a character.
Yeah,
he was definitely a character. And so we get our next stalk and kill scene in the school. Actually, a pretty good suspense chase. What do you guys think of
this one? Was not bad.
Yeah, because she goes to have sex with this one old boy, and when she decides not to go the way, he like just dumps her ass like a POS, right?
Upsetting.
I mean, I know I'm a guy, but he makes me like not want to be a guy.
Yeah, he's an awful person. So what do you guys think of the stalk and chase scene?
To somebody.
Well, yeah. What do you guys think of this stalk and chase?
So this one wasn't the stalk and chase scene. I think the stalk and chase scene was with the main girl, the mean girl, right?
Yeah.
Because that one was actually pretty good. It was not bad at all.
It was great.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then she ends up in the paint room, and the body like flops down, and she screams, and then she gets a splitting headache.
Yes. Yeah, because they end up
was funny,
in like
guys.
Yeah, they end up like in like the shop and shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like just goes throughout the whole thing.
She almost gets away and like scares herself, and like it's pretty suspenseful.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird too because you're like, she's the bad guy, you know, and you're just rooting for her. Like you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want her to actually get killed right now.
Well, I mean, bad guy is like putting it like extreme.
She's awful.
Yeah. She's a terrible
like
person.
The bad girl.
Well, she did. Yeah, she was a bad girl. She did try to like be like, you know, let's, you know, cause pain. Because he says something along the lines of that, like, you know, she said, Unibrow says something about that, I think, and she's like, you know, basically says to hurt him, essentially.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, she did try to cover up a murder when she was a kid, but
an accident. It wasn't a murder. It was an accident.
Anybody.
Yeah, it was an accident.
You're right. I mean, you're technically right, but
yeah.
I could have nailed him for murder.
I don't know. Thanks, prosecutor Derek. I'm sure that your knowledge of the law would.
No. That law I've watched in my lifetime. I could do it.
Oh my god.
I mean, they were chanting, "Kill her!"
Yeah,
kill her.
I'd be like, roll that tape.
Roll that beautiful bean footage.
Malice. Yeah, they definitely have malice.
You guys are something else.
Yeah, for sure.
So, then we get to like basically this final act here where Unibrow gets decapitated.
I loved that switch.
That was a good one.
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
For sure.
He's gone.
And I was not expecting the beheading, by the way.
Yeah, well, they beat him up. They beat up Nick. And then, old Unibrow gets decapitated and his head rolls down under the thing in the dance room. The whole ballroom, like, disperses. And except for Jamie Lee Curtis, who's there to help Nick fight him off. And then as she's doing it, she realizes, after she hits him in the head with an axe, she realizes who it is. Because he kept
she looks deep into his eyes.
Yeah, well, because he kept throwing her off and never, like, attacked her. He was only attacking Nick. Oh. And then so once she hits him in the head and looks into his eyes, he, like, looks at her. He's like, oh. And she's like, oh, no. He runs out. She's like, don't shoot him. And then it's revealed that it's her brother the whole time, getting revenge for that. And then we get a flashback to show that he saw her fall. Mm-hmm. That he was there and saw it. And then instead of also telling the police, he just held a grudge for years and decided to get his revenge on prom night, as one does.
You know, if you found a sympathetic jury, he could get, like, put in a mental institution. I mean, there's a scenario where he doesn't get, like, a harsh penalty.
Well, he dies at the end of this movie, so.
I know, I'm just saying, but
that's the
not that he would get off. I'm not saying that, but, like, if he hadn't died, I think he could have gotten some sympathy.
So, what do you guys think?
Lipstick.
Lipstick.
I love how, like, there's a point where Jamie Lee Curtis's mom walks in and is like, did you take my lipstick? And she's like, no, I didn't take your lipstick. I would, and then it turns out he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, why did he do that?
I think he just had a mental break, and it was like connecting with his sister. I don't know.
It's because there is no real reason.
That.
It's just...
No, that's speculation.
that lipstick scene was so weird, and I was like, okay, that's gonna come up again, and I did not realize that he was like wearing lipstick at the end.
Yeah, it's.
I thought it was
really
like
weird.
his. I thought it was just like bad, like blood effects, like he was like bleeding from the mouth or something.
No, he's wearing the lipstick and he has the old
on.
axe wound.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of this ending?
Huh.
I don't mind. I actually think the ending is okay. It's probably one of the better parts about the movie, not because the movie ended. I mean, although I was pretty happy about that, but because it was, I really felt some sympathy for that character, and yeah.
Yeah, I kind of did too. I thought he was so likable throughout the whole movie, and when I realized it was him, I was like, "Oh my gosh, like it is him. That's sad." And then Jamie Lee Curtis having to react to like killing her own brother was like really sad too.
She's used to that shit by this point. I mean, she had to kill Michael twice. Actually, she hadn't filmed Halloween 2 yet, so that was a precursor to this. Halloween 2 is 81. So, I think it's fine too. They do a good job of setting him up as a sympathetic character because he protects his sister. You see their friendship and how much they care for one another, and that's set up pretty early. But like Derek said, even when I was a kid, or at least when I watched it as a teen, I knew that he was the killer. Like it was pretty obvious. Like it was the only one that you could logically track and make sense. Has to be your brother, because the other ones like just don't. And I knew Eyebrow was too busy with Mean Girl, and I knew that they were throwing too much suspicion on Leslie Nielsen for it to be him. And the escape, by the way, the amount of time that we spend on this escaped mental patient to be nothing is hilarious. By the way,
I mean, he did kill somebody.
Yeah, he did.
You know what I mean? Yeah,
he did. They're like, they caught him down the road. He's in jail. It's like, so it can't be him. So yeah, pretty funny.
It's like we already knew it wasn't that guy.
Yeah.
By the time they were like,
that plot thread, we never were like, it might be him.
I know, yeah. It never crossed my mind that it was him.
Well, and then like the fact that he was like deformed and he came out of a coma, and you're just like, okay, so you're like trying to steal the plot line for every other movie that came out, and then it was just too much.
Yeah, that was actually added after the fact, by the way. The escape killer stuff, kind of to pad the movie, I think.
Yeah, they're like, man, this movie, it's too short. Audiences are going to love it. Let's make it longer and really drag our feet.
Yeah, so I read that about that it was like that was added after the fact, and I thought that was kind of funny. I was like, oh, all right. So that is Prom Night, guys. 1980s Prom Night. Now, this is kind of considered in some circles as a minor classic. What are our thoughts on this, looking at it through our lens? Who wants to go first? Lydia, I think you should go first, because I think Derek's is going to undercut yours. So
yeah, Lydia.
Dang.
I don't want to taint anything.
Well,
you said taint.
I did say. Glad you brought that. Sorry, Lydia, we ruined it. Go ahead.
What do you think, Lydia?
Do I think this is a minor classic?
Or just where do you think it?
Guys.
What are you going to rate it?
It's really hard. Well, I don't know, because now I did really enjoy watching this movie, but now when you're like, what'd you think of the ending? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know.
Don't do it. Walking in here before we started talking about it, you had to have thought like, oh, what am I going to rate this? Throw that out there.
You don't have to do that because, I mean, I think
horror movie.
I think when we have our discussion, sometimes my opinion raises, it stays the same, or it lowers depending upon our conversation. Like things that get brought
depending how much fun we had.
Yeah. I'd agree with your assessment of a mid-range, Lydia.
Yeah, it's definitely a mid-range. It wasn't like, it didn't like blow my socks off. I did like the movie, and I liked the explosion of the van.
Yeah. Explosion gets a 10.
And I liked the characters. Like, the characters are all pretty memorable. Besides, like, having to remember who was what kid.
Yeah, they're so memorable that we don't even know their names.
Yeah,
just say,
I mean, like,
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, their faces are memorable, you know.
Yeah.
That's just probably, the actors are good. They got good actors. I don't know. I guess I'm gonna give this one a 6 or a 7.
Okay.
Do it.
Which one? What do you think?
6
or 7
I think
for me.
6 is like right above mid-range.
Okay, yeah, we'll give it a 6.
Derek.
All right, you guys ready?
Yep.
If you are a Ninja Turtle or Jason Pierre-Paul, you can rate this movie on one hand.
You're going to give it a 3.
Give this movie a 3.
God damn it.
A 3?
A 3.
So you did not like this movie very much.
I did. So here, just to put it in perspective. So last night, Quincy and I watched Kindergarten Cop, and we ended a little early because she got tired. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to start that movie. So I'm like laying in bed with my headphones on, and I'm watching this movie, and I'm like, man, nothing. I'm like 35 minutes into this movie. I'm like, nothing is happening. I can't sit here and watch this movie. I've got to go to sleep. So I watched it, and then I came down to the basement to watch this movie, and I'm like another 30 minutes into this movie, and I'm like, how much longer is it? 40 minutes left. What's going on? Maybe I'm exaggerating, but there is just a huge portion of this movie that there's nothing that happens. And there's a couple scenes where the different people are like in their offices thinking about who the killer was, what's his motivation. And you're just like, nope, cut that. Why are you here? And I mean, it did have a couple of real, good scenes. I loved that chase scene whenever that girl got axed. And the characters I thought were pretty good. Just, man, it just drug on too long. If you shave off 20 minutes to this movie, you probably increase it a couple of points, in my opinion.
Yeah. Guys, I'm kind of right. I give it a 5, maybe. For the longest time, every time people bring up Prom Night, like, oh, Prom Night's, that's a great one. That's a good one. And I've always felt I just never got it. I was like, I don't know, man. Kind of mid for me. You know what I mean? Mid tier. I don't think it's like, yeah, it's on Jamie Lee Curtis's Scream Queen. Like, it's part of paving the way for her to get that title. But it's not on par with Halloween or Halloween 2 or Terror Train or
like in the sense that it's not very scary.
It's not scary. It tries to be suspenseful, but it's not really suspenseful. It's somewhat enjoyable to watch, I suppose. But if you're wanting to watch a horror movie and you're wanting to be scared, I mean, I don't know. I just don't feel like it would pass the sleepover test, right? Like, this isn't one that you'd put in as a sleepover as a teen and be like, ooh, I feel like you might have fun with it, but you're also just kind of like,
disco.
Yeah, ooh. Now that might be terrifying. Now that's kind of terrifying. Like, ah! What are these dance moves?
That was my favorite part of the movie. I loved the disco prom.
The disco prom is one of the funniest things. That's what I was saying. Like, this movie it didn't age well, for sure. Like, it doesn't have that ageless quality. Like, for Halloween, for example, is made almost 50 years ago, right? And some of the style is 70s, but the movie doesn't feel like late 78. It feels kind of timeless because it's a timeless story. They purposely don't fill it with popular, you know what I mean, music and popular trends. It's just a straight up, this is the story, which is why it endears. It endures all this time. And it also doesn't get the fun stuff of like the 80s where we get that 80s cheese. Wasn't quite there yet. We were still at the tail end of the disco movement. So that's what we get for our like pop culture is a giant disco dance. And it's just like they filmed two different movies. Like they filmed the high school after school special about disco. And then they also filmed a slasher movie and they just put them together. Because I will say this for the movie. I think the slasher sequences when they happen are good. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are good.
I think when the slashing happens, it's actually pretty good. It's entertaining and it's well shot and, like the tension's there. It's kind of pretty well put together. But the rest of it, it would have saved this movie if they would have added 3 or 4 kills throughout the movie. Then we might have thought of it a little differently. Because something would have been happening. A couple more chase scenes or something. But to hold off on all of it, not even a single kill, that's a long time, right?
Yeah, I agree.
So. Now I'm kind of comparing it in my mind to like a modern teen slasher thriller TV show kind of scenario where like if you just put cell phones in all of these girls' hands that we're following, you know what I mean? Like that would be, you could make that Pretty Little Liars like right now.
Yes, and I think even if you didn't have kills up through there, if you had more tension, because there's no threat of the killer throughout the movie. We don't see him in the shadows. So like Halloween, we get, for example, because it's the same era, we don't get like a huge body count. We get, a mechanic death, and then, but he's stalking the girls. We see that they're in danger. The proximity is there.
Right.
And in other horror movies, that's the same thing. The killer's in proximity, so it's scary. In this one, we get, like even Black Christmas. But in this one, we get more of a, like I said, a high school, after school special with slasher elements thrown at the end of it. Because we don't see the killers. It would have went a long way to see the killer's shadow stalking the victims. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no proximity. There's not much atmosphere. Like it's just
right.
Like school. Okay.
But yeah, you're right. No proximity. No like tension. Tension is the word. We don't have tension. And atmosphere was a great word you used, Lydia. There's no atmosphere to the movie. It's just like a weird thing. This is a weird movie. And it's just bizarre.
Yeah. Like the Mean Girl chase scene was almost like some accidental atmosphere in there, I think, because it was kind of like dark in the school. So that's like, doesn't even seem very purposeful that they kind of nailed that one.
Yeah, it's not the best shot horror movie either, or movie in general. It's not. But you know what? I don't think it's not the worst movie we've watched. Derek obviously thinks it's up there. He gave it a 3.
Yeah.
Oh no, there's many movies that we've watched that are below that.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. I mean, guys, this is going to sound crazy, but I think this is a better movie. But I think Children of the Night is more entertaining because at least shit's happening, right?
100%. Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, it moves forward.
Yeah.
Regardless, and it's got like those little fun bits that you remember, like a mailman. Put them right here. But you're right. Like, and there's just so much of this movie that just feels like it drags. You know?
Yep.
Like a dead body behind a car.
There's an image. Don't you know that saying? Don't you guys know that saying?
It's very popular.
Yeah. Very common.
In my neck of the woods.
Oh, man. And that is Prom Night. Before we get into your pick, we've got to talk about a certain thing. We've got to Atkinize this movie. Who would Tom Atkins play?
Thrill me.
Well, we kind of know. Right?
Yeah, I mean, she's already gotten with him once, so we might as well make him the one guy who is her boyfriend.
The boyfriend character?
Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis. The guy who gets spared at the end.
Yeah. I mean, that would be good. Yeah, he could live through it. Yeah.
Only because he's already, you know, Tom Atkins is already like, just makes sense that she would end up with him, but
yeah.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good one. No, that's a good one.
Yeah,
maybe if Tom Atkins. That way, Tom Atkins.
Way older.
Sorry, remember, it doesn't matter. Like, I mean, it's any era Atkins. That's the rule. So, yeah, Fog Atkins. Put him in there. He would be no older than Unibrow. So.
True.
And then at least this movie would give us. We'd have two things to make this movie good: Jamie Lee Curtis, and we'd at least get Tom Atkins' personality throughout the whole thing. That'd be excellent. That'd be watchable. He makes everything watchable. What are we going to watch next week?
All right. What was I going to pick? Oh, shoot. I'm like on the spot, and I can't remember what I was going to pick.
Lydia, did you say you wanted to watch Lumberjack Man? So he said?
We already did that.
Oh, we did? Yeah, okay.
Oh, shoot.
Whatever, that's a classic. That's a classic movie right there.
Yeah.
It's a movie.
It's a movie. I don't know if it's classic.
So
okay,
mean,
do you guys want to do Rear Window or The Others?
I've never seen either one.
Set up Rear Window.
The Others. I'm just curious. What are the others?
It's a Nicole Kidman
story. In a spooky ghost story.
Oh, where it's like set. It's like a period piece.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that when it came out.
Yeah.
So we got to do Rear Window because Derek's never seen it.
All right, let's do Rear Window.
All right.
That's
Alfred Hitchcock's Rear Window, Derek, starring James Stewart. Let's see where
that guy.
See where Rear Window is streaming. I think it's on Max, actually. Let me just find out. It's not. It is on Amazon Prime, Google, Redbox, YouTube, Apple TV, and Vudu. So next week we are doing Alfred Hitchcock's Rear Window. That's a suspense classic. So we'll get into that. This is a movie that has atmosphere and suspense. We'll find out next week. Derek, do you have a story for us tonight? We've been doing this podcast.
I did. I had one.
For going on 3 years.
Oh. I got one.
All right.
So it's actually a prom story.
Oh, perfect.
Nice.
And yeah, it's you're not going to think too highly of the person it's about. So anyway, I was dating this girl in high school, and we went to the prom. And like, she brought so this was back in the day, Lydia, when there were disposable cameras.
I'm familiar.
Okay. So, so she had a disposable camera, and she was taking a bunch of pictures, and she set it down. And at the end of the night, she like got so mad at me. She's like, "What did you do with my camera?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? I didn't have your camera. Like, I didn't use it once for anything. I don't know where you put it." Anyway, she like had left it on a table. That's a terrible story. Let me think of another one.
That was the story? That might be the worst story I've ever heard in my life. You know there's no department stores open in the village after midnight.
Oh my gosh.
I thought it was leading somewhere, and he's like, she left it on the table. That story was the equivalent of this movie. It's just nothing happened.
At least it was short and sweet and I didn't drag it on. I'm like, we went to the bathroom, it wasn't there.
You should have talked for like 5 more minutes about it.
Oh my gosh, I got one for you.
All right.
So, I'm pretty sure like statute of limitations has been lifted on this one. So forever, my brother's a truck driver, right? Mm. And if you know my brother, you're like, the roads are less safe now.
The fairy dragon. So, we're familiar.
Yeah. So one day he's like, dude, I mean, he hounded me for a long time. I was in college, and he was like, you've got to go with me on a run. I'll make it short. It'll be one day. So he gets a run to Kentucky, and I'm like, fine. It's one day. I can handle you for one day. So, like, we hop in the truck, and, we're driving down there. Everything's, pretty fine. We get to Kentucky, and he drops off his load, and we're headed back. And I forget the specifics of it, of, like, what prompted Jay to do this. But there's this little S10 man who's just, like, has gotten to a confrontation with my brother who's in a freaking semi. And so Jay's like, okay. And he runs that guy off the road in his little S10. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened. And so like 30 minutes later, boom, on goes the cop car. And we're getting pulled over. And Jay's looking at me like, man, listen, you need to tell him this, this, and this. And I look at him and I'm like, Jay, I am not going to lie to this cop if he asks me what happened. And he was like, oh my God, you've got to. You've got to tell him this. And I'm like, no, man, I'm not lying to the police. And so we get that police officer comes up there, and this guy, the guy in the S10 was behind the police officer. So like they both come up there and start talking to Jay. And Jay's got like the patience of like a 2-year-old. So he starts getting mouthy with the guy. And the police, it came up that this happened in Kentucky. This is why I'm like, Jay, you need to buy a lottery ticket every single week of your life, man, because you are the person who's going to hit this thing. And so the guy's like telling him like, oh yeah, I was we were like right next to whatever town it was. And the cop stops and he goes, this happened in Kentucky? The guy's like, yeah. And the cop goes, because he's an Indiana police officer. He's a state trooper. And the cop goes, there's nothing I can do about this. I don't have any jurisdiction over an accident that happened in Kentucky. And that guy in the S10, he was so mad.
But yeah.
He was so mad. Yeah, and so, he's, cussing and stuff like that, and that cop's like, there's nothing I can do. And so he just left, and I'm like, Jay, you're the luckiest son of a bitch I've ever met in my entire life, man. That you ran a guy off the road, and it just happened to be close to a state line, and it saved you.
The guy should have went back to Kentucky, reported it because he would have had your brother's license plate.
License, yep.
And they could have tracked him. And
at that point, could have, but I don't know how that would have played out because it would have been his word against him, and. It's crazy. I can't believe that my brother would do something like let me rephrase that. I can 100% see that my brother would do something like that. I just can't believe how lucky he is. Yeah. It's like the first time he went to bingo with my grandma and my mom. He won $500 the first time he went to bingo and played with my mom and my grandma. I'm like, you bastard.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for luck, he would have been dead or in jail ages ago.
I mean, he's been in jail a lot.
Yeah, but I mean prison for life.
Mm-hmm. I remember one point he was like, what had happened was his buddy was dating this girl, and she found out that they did something, and Jay was like, if you tell anybody, I will strap you to a chair and I will blow you up, or something like that. And she thought it was
fucking
serious,
Wile E.
so
Coyote.
She turned him in. I guess. I truly believe that he was just trying to intimidate her, but she took it as a serious threat, and I would have too. I'd have been like, "Yep, you're crazy." So sure. So he got a whole bunch of charges against him, and it was his first offense. So he only spent like 5 years in jail at that time.
Only 5 years, not a big deal. He also, planted pipe bombs, not a big deal.
Well, yeah, and that's essentially what they, one of the charges they got him for was he threatened to blow up with a pipe bomb.
Jesus,
that is insane.
Here's how
that wraps.
Okay, so I got
no. Go ahead.
So this is why it's hard for me to talk about my my family and my history with my wife, because anytime I do, she's just like, "What what family did I marry into?" I'm like, "I know. Trust me, I had to live through it. I don't know how I made it out, but I did."
Yeah, I mean,
it's crazy.
Between all the stuff that you went through, I'd say between Jay and your grandma, you had a shitty upbringing.
That's terrible, man. Why would you do
that? I just got it.
I saw it. I saw the recognition in your eyes, Lydia. You're like, because of the pooping.
Oh, man.
Oh, excellent. That is our show today. So next week we will be watching Rear Window, Alfred Hitchcock's classic. So watch that. Be sure to comment down below on your thoughts on Prom Night. Let us know, what your feelings on it. Do you think our ratings are too high, too low? Is this a classic to you, or are you in the Lydia camp where it's mid-tier? Are you in my camp where it's a slightly below mid-tier? Or are you Derek's camp where it's a shitfest? Let us know where you fall. You can follow us online at HiLaProductions.com. Follow us on Facebook at HiLa Productions. Follow each of us on Twitter. You can follow us, or X, whatever you want to call it. You can follow Derek at DDoglyMaster. Follow Lydia at Lydia Spooky, and you can follow me at Racket. Be sure to stay tuned next week for not only Rear Window, but we'll have some more news about the feature film we are preparing. There's nothing else for Derek Lemaster and Lydia Judy. I'm Jamie Hiles. Remember, if you're going to scream bloody movies.